for Harfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Harfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
Wade Elliott has that change of pace and he's got away from Montgomery. It's the path of McCann and the follow-up finds the net. What a strike from Wade Elliott! A bolt from the Claret and Blue.
Oh goodness me! What a goal from Patterson! If that is to be the one that takes them to Wembley, you cannot argue with that. Pure quality.
Here goes Mike Conroy. Still time for a winner, maybe. John Francis! They came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions.
I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Burnley would surely score from this corner. Swung right in there. Ball in there. Yeah! Michael Keane! Oh, that's justice! That is justice at the Amex Stadium. Burnley are level and deserve to be.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the first, there we go, I forgot to get rid of the picture. The first episode of the full-time show this season after a home game. Burnley won, Luton Town won. Not the result that we were looking for, but at the end of the day, it's still a decent enough result in my opinion. They're a decent side, you know, they finished in the playoffs last season. Unlike Huddersfield, they have not lost two of their best players and lost their manager. My opinion is, first off, we were a little bit off it. We had all the possession and all the ball, but we couldn't really do anything with it at all. So found the first half quite frustrating. It just, people, I put on Twitter at half time, say, we need a striker. People's like, what do you mean we need a striker? We had a chance to miss, but I've just felt like we'd have played a little bit differently, you know, if we'd have had a striker. And one of my main worries as well was at the back, at the goal that we conceded. I've not had a chance to watch it back yet. I felt Moric could have done better with it. The defenders could have done better with it. But I did feel that with an inexperienced back line and an inexperienced goalkeeper, I did feel that stuff like that would be happening at certain points this season. But second half, much better. What's he called? The new lad, Manuel Benson, came on. I'm going to have to get used to all these new names. And I thought he were brilliant. Honestly, I really think he was brilliant. I've already seen someone saying on Twitter we've upgraded from McNeil. I'm not sure about that just yet. But at least Benson will have, you know, free reign to go forward, and which, to be fair, we can slag McNeil off as much as we want. He didn't really have much free reign to do whatever he wanted. Get your comments in though. We're just getting a few comments coming in now. We will read them out. I've got 3 guests ready and waiting already. Not like last week where I'm begging you to come on. Like, please, I'm on my own. Someone come on. This week I've got 3 people ready to come on the show. We'll get into that in a minute. I do want to get some of your comments in and read some of your comments first. So please get your comments in. But I'll tell you what I am going to do first. There we go. We're going to look at some of the results so far. I say so far from today. So Norwich 1, Wigan 1, Bristol 2, Sunderland 3. Good result that for Sunderland. They haven't lost yet, have they? Drew with Coventry last week and obviously won today, so they'll be on 4 points like us. Obviously, Burnley 1, Luton 1, QPR 3, Middlesbrough 2. That's a bad result for Middlesbrough. This team that's supposed to be, you know, doing very, very well. All right, admittedly, they've got a man sent off there. Reading 2, Cardiff 1. I thought Reading would be in trouble this season. And I think I can't remember what they did last season, to be honest. But you know, that's another win for them. I say another. I don't think they won last week. Sheffield United, they've managed to get off to winning ways. That they struggled last week. Stoke beating Blackpool. I think Blackpool will struggle, and we'll just skip over that last result, shall we? We won't mention that whatsoever. But let's have a look at the league table. Where is the league table? Where is it? There it is. Oh, for God's sake. We'll just cut that top bit off. There we go. So second is Sunderland. I'm surprised we're still fourth, if I'm honest with you. I thought we'd have gone a little bit further down than that. But having said that, you know, there's only 4 teams on 4 points. So I'm obviously talking absolute rubbish. But Hull in 5th, Sheffield United in 6th. Watford have only played the 1 game. QPR, then Reading, then Cardiff. Down at the bottom, we've got Huddersfield. I mean, yeah, they look poor, didn't they? I weren't sure whether it were us being class on Friday or them being poor, but I think it was a bit of both. Now I think it's fair to say it's one of them where I think that they're very, very poor, and we did play very well. Having said that, up at Huddersfield the other day. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start bringing some people in just as I read some comments out, because I've had somebody saying, look at Rovers' stats. It says they were effing shite, pal. God knows where those goals come from. I haven't seen any of the stats, to be honest with you, mate, or watched any of their highlights yet, and I don't intend to, if I'm going to be perfect. Well, if it's on the EFL show tonight, I'll probably watch it. Bob Devine says over 1,200 passes in just 2 games and over 70% possession. Obviously, that was in both as well. Who is this Claret and Blue team we are watching? More of the same, please. We just need a prolific striker. 4 points from 2 games, and we are doing good. I think a prolific striker and an experienced centre-half for me. Ryan Collins says, not feeling Taylor at centre-half. I'd push Martson up and get him back into left-back. 100% need a striker or two, though. Barnes needs to be someone playing off him. I love Barnes, but I do think his time's up now, if I'm being honest with you. He spent a lot of the time on the floor and stuff again today, not really making too much happen, but I do love him. Luke Williams says VK out, obviously. Would presume that's a joke. FPL Bick says, Benny, change the game. Get a goal scorer, we will have a chance. I think we've got a chance regardless, but I do think we need a goal scorer. I 100% agree with that. And Benson, he was class. He was class. Simon Edmondson, sorry, the bloody things moved up. Weird, like a bit like Twitter does. He said, sound are all good, some teething problems, but it will get better. And how funny is Cov game getting called off? Yeah, we won't. It's funny, but we won't try and go too much into that fake rivalry. True Red, Forest fan, he's always in the chat. He says, from what I've heard, people, Ashley Barnes isn't good enough anymore. Yeah, I just said that. We'll see on the highlights later on, but the point seems fair result for both teams. He's a legend, but I know Jay's injured and I know Twine's injured, but it's one of them for me. I wouldn't be playing Barnes. I love him. He'll come on as an impact sub, and stuff like that. That's my opinion. Ross Williamson says, how can you get on? Apologies, my camera's frozen. It does this. Those of you that watch regularly, you will know. Unfreeze, please. Unfreeze. I don't think it's going to unfreeze this time. But we've got 3 guests on, mate, today, so we should be okay. We might not need somebody else, but thank you for asking. I tell you what, if this is just going to do that, I might have to get rid of it and try something else. Laura Briggs says Martson is sensational and Muric is a liability. That's all I've got to say. Aya, by the way, yeah, Aya. I tell you what, because I'm frozen, I'm going to bring some movement in. So Neil, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Yeah, no bother.
Yeah, everyone can hear me fine. Right, good. Neil, your thoughts on the game then, please, mate.
Yeah, well, I think you summed it up in it's a game of 2 halves. I think the first half we had all the possession but nothing to do with it. And second half we looked a bit more promising. I've seen a few people say that we got ditched, that we were the team that got ditched, essentially. And I think that's pretty much what it was. But I'm still optimistic for this season. I still think we've got a good team there. It's a good result. Luton aren't a bad team by any stretch of imagination. It's a new team, new structure, new management team. He's not been with them that long. Pre-season's been really short, and I do think we are just a natural goal scorer away. Now, I'm not too worried about that because I think Jay will bang in this league. I think he'll get some goals in this league when he's fit. I do think I'm a bit sad that Vidra's gone because I think he would have been mint. I think he would have filled that gap in this league. But he's gone, so we've got to move on from that. But I still think it's a good result and the performance is there. And I just think this team's still gelling. We just need to just let them go. I just hope that the bubble hasn't burst a little bit because it's been a bit of a feel-good factor and it's a young team. We just need to just keep that momentum going because it's still a decent result. We're still unbeaten. So,
Yeah, 25 unbeaten now, and obviously 2 unbeaten this season, which is the important stat. We'll have fun with that 25 unbeaten, won't we? But yeah. I'm not that arsed about that, if I'm being honest with you. I just want to stay unbeaten this season. But a few people sort of like saying, we need a few more signings. Is it mainly striker that we need to strengthen, do you think?
No, I think with you, I think we do need a bit of experience. The goal annoyed me a bit because Kompany was a world-class defender, so you would expect that he's drilled into them that those things shouldn't happen. And I get it's a young team and stuff, but for a defense, a manager whose background is defense, to concede a goal like that is a little bit annoying. So maybe a little bit of experience in centre half. I've seen a comment earlier about Taylor at centre half. I'm not convinced by that either. Just bring some experience at centre half, just like a leader at the back, someone to organise them a little bit, and someone to get the goals. And I think we'll be fine. But I agree with what you said. I think we'll be fine anyway. I don't think by any stretch we're going to be poor this season. We're going to be a good team. But if we get that goal scorer, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Yeah, bit of an echo there as well. I'll just quickly mute all that. Yeah, sorry, camera issues. I don't know why it's done that. So I had to come out, go into another one. But yeah, I was listening. But yeah, I do agree. I think the striker is pretty much needed. But a central defender as well. There's a few comments on Muric. What do you think about Muric?
Yeah, it's a heart attack, isn't he, watching him? But I don't think we can judge any of them. I think we need to give him a few more games because he's not had much to do, has he? He's not really had that much to do. We haven't conceded that many shots other than the goal. So I think, and I can't really say he was at fault for the goal. So I think we just need to give a bit more time before making an opinion on him. But he's going to give a few people a heart attack, I think, the way he plays. Yeah,
I just think it's that echoes doing my head in. I just think it's us getting used to it more than anything else. Yeah, because I've said it myself a few times. It's going to take a while to get used to it, but he's not done anything wrong. He's just inviting the pressure, and then that sort of thing.
But maybe that's the way that Kompany wants us to play. Maybe it's all about that, the way that he wants us to set up. We've had 10 years of Dyche, haven't we? It's new for everybody, so it's it's getting used to everybody. The new way of playing. You can sit there and think, "Oh, Nick Pope wouldn't have done that," but it's not how it is anymore, is it? We've just got to get used to it.
Yeah, fair enough. Completely agree with that. And it's another thing as well. Costello's been a few questions about Costello in there. What do you feel about him? Obviously, he's still a youngster. He's still learning the trade. He's been thrown in, but he's done relatively well.
He's done well. It's just that end product for me that's not there, but I think that'll come. I think he just needs. Yeah, he just needs more games, I think. But it's the same with every team. I think once they all gel, because they're all young lads, really, and they're all playing some of them in England for the first time and stuff like that. So he's no better or no worse than some of the other lads in the team. But it's just that end product. He does look decent. He looks a good player. But we're just going to have to be patient with him, I think, which is why we need a bit more strength just to take that pressure off him a little bit. Yeah,
I agree with that. It's as well, sort of thinking of predictions as well for the where do you think we'll be towards the end of the season, sort of thing? Like, do you think we'll be thereabouts? Do you think we'll finish top two? What are you thinking?
I don't. When Vinny came in and I was in a bit of sort of summer holiday hysteria, I had us down for champions. I don't think we'll be champions, but I don't think we'll be that far off it. So if we're not set. We could be. I mean, that's the thing with the championship, is that we could be champions as easily as we could not be. But I think playoffs is probably where we'll end up. And then that's a bit of a lottery from there, isn't it? But I think we'll end up in the playoff places. But
so, who do you think's finishing above us?
I don't know. It's too early, isn't it? We've got some strong teams in there. I think we've got. Well, I don't know. To be honest, my honest answer is that we need to have more games, don't we? It's a bit too early to call it. I just think that if we get some injuries or if we have a couple of bad results, we don't really know how the team's going to react to it. So I don't know. It's hard to say. We could be top two, but I mean, as a minimum, I'd expect us to be playoffs. But if we get that goal scorer, just the way that Kompany's got us playing, if we've got a goal scorer in there, I think we'll be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's nice to just get excited for me. It's I like his philosophy as he wants people to go home entertained. Now I wasn't there today, unfortunately, because timings and whatnot. But if I've driven down from up here last season, it was an absolute ball ache going down to watch that game and come back again, knowing what we're watching. But this season, I'm excited to go, and I think it's going to be great. No matter what the result, at least we're going to be entertained by the type of football they play and the players we've got.
Yeah, fair enough. Apologies for all the issues. Neil, can you still hear me?
I can hear you. No bother.
Yeah, happy days. I don't know why it's doing all this. It's doing my head in. But I know you need to go, mate, so I'll let you go.
No bother,
and then, sorry, what was that, mate?
I said no bother.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having to mute you because of the echo. It's doing my head in. Apologies, everybody. I hope it's not as bad for you as it is for me. Because if it is, we'll have to scrap the show completely. But Neil, it's been a pleasure. It's good to have you back on, mate. And hopefully I can see you more as the season goes on.
Yeah, definitely. All good now, mate.
Yep. Nice one, mate. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Apologies, everybody, and apologies. I think Neil was talking there, but I couldn't hear him. But yeah, it's the echoes doing my fucking head. I don't know why it's doing it. I honestly don't know why it's doing it. The fucking camera went, and I tried to sort it out, and it's gone. But good to see all the comments still coming in. Been a lot of people chatting about Muric. I've seen, TikTok. I do agree with this. Says with the ball at his feet, he's done his job. I agree with that. He's not done anything wrong. I do feel at the time I felt like the goal wasn't necessarily his fault, just him, but it was the entire defence was at fault for it. If that makes sense. Whereas if it was Porpy in goal, and it's unfair to compare him to Porpy all the time, then I feel like he would have caught it, and then it would have been completely fine. Ryan Collins has just said it sounds all good for us. Thank you for that. Well, that's put me at ease then. So I'll just carry on going. I'll just have to mute people as I'm talking to them, because when I bring people in, I can hear a bit of an echo and stuff. So we're going to bring Jamie in. Jamie's new. He's not been on before. I'll have to unmute. So this second, see, you can tell when I'm because I'm actually made in. But Jamie, your thoughts on the game?
To me, today's game was welcome to the Championship. This is what it is. I was quite surprised with Huddersfield in the last game of kind of like how they didn't respond to us that well. Second half, obviously they did, but today was a very physical challenge that we was up against, and I think the guest before said it, and I saw it on Twitter as well. We did get a bit of Dyche ball against us. Very physical, very direct. Your man Adebayo, he scared me every time he got the ball. But other than that, I think without using the Dyche phrase, fine margins, I think we made one mistake that cost us the goal. But other than that, we didn't really do a lot wrong, I don't think. There's one or two hairy moments, but who can go 90 minutes in a football game without hairy moments? I think this team is still learning, and I don't think they did a lot wrong today.
Yeah, fair enough. First off, we were a little bit off it though, weren't we? I just don't think, from my point of view, I just don't think we expected them to press us as well as they did, because they didn't let us settle. Whereas last week, Huddersfield just pretty much said, "Hey, you've got the ball, do what you want with it." Whereas Luton, they were pressing us, we couldn't handle it that well, and then they put balls into the box, which again is something that we haven't had to deal with under this new regime.
Yeah, I think what I got from the first half today was, going into the Huddersfield game, there was a bit of a masterstroke from Vincent Company where there was only one game that could have been viewed by, the tactical, the scouts and stuff. And what I got from the first half of this game is they'd watched us against Huddersfield, or someone had watched how we played, and they figured out a way to press us, in that they'd let us play to midfield, and then they'd be cutting off our midfield passes, and then they just break on us straight away, and they just swarm us basically. Yeah. And I think that was a masterclass by their coaching staff. They'd done brilliant with that. And I think they just figured out how to play us. And to be honest, I think then Kompany had a task at halftime to go away and go, right, they figured it out. How do we then change this? And we came out and we got that confidence back, and we started playing it a bit more. So that's kind of how I saw it. Again, I didn't see there's anything wrong with what we did. I think they just learned how to play against us from that one game.
Yeah, it's good. The good news is I got rid of the echo, so I can get in. But yeah, I agree with that. There's two sides of that, isn't there? Because we went into this Huddersfield game and nobody knew what Burnley were going to do. Nobody knew how we were going to settle. You had an idea, because you could look at the way Kompany played at Anderlecht, and if you'd watched us in pre-season, you could have got a bit of an idea. But Huddersfield obviously didn't do their own work. They didn't have a clue how we were going to set up. But then the more teams see us play, the more teams will know how to play against us. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, camera, please unfreeze. On the flip side of that, there we go. On the flip side of that, the more we play together, the more we gel. So it kind of like works both ways, doesn't it? But obviously you think today that Luton have kind of done their own work on us, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it just reminded me of a very much when we would play Man City or Liverpool minus the 5-0. Where we'd sit and we'd wait for a pass to just go awry, and then we'd nick the ball and just swarm. And it was just that kind of performance. I still can't quite get my head around how our defence works at the moment, because there's times where Charlie Taylor is playing more of a left back than a centre back.
Yeah,
he's getting dragged so far out left that you just don't quite. I don't know where he's going, and you do see him when he's approaching, like when someone's approaching with the ball. I think he is treating it a little bit more like a left back, where you'd back off and you'd show him on a certain side. And maybe that's what Vincent Company wants. But for me, a centre back needs to back off a certain thing and then engage when they need to engage. I don't feel like Taylor does that as much. So I think we do need to work on set pieces. Is something we need to work on, because our recovery of the ball in the first half after set pieces came in was shoddy, and that's what led to the goal. Obviously, we just couldn't reorganise ourselves, couldn't get out of our own 6-yard box, and then ball falls in between. I think it was Taylor and Maatsen, and we just couldn't recover it. And I think we need to work on that. It's some of this going to happen as the team gels and develops.
And they nearly won it in a similar sort of carbon copy sort of goal at the end, didn't they? Ball into the box, bit of chaos. I was just expecting the ball to fucking nestle. But I've highlighted a comment from Bob. He says, Taylor Harewood-Belly seems a gem. Obviously, we're just talking about the defence at the back. Thought he caught well with that giraffe up front and was very composed with the ball, especially as the last man for a young lad his class. Now, he is the England under-21 captain. And I do like Taylor. I see what people are saying about Charlie. You mentioned it yourself. He were very good against Huddersfield, but you can tell he's playing out of position. So I think for me, we're bringing, like, if we'd have kept Ben Mee, for example, or Collins, one of them two, or obviously Tarky, but none of us ever thought Tarky was staying. Somebody next to Taylor like that would have been perfect. I think that's what we need to do. We need to try and go out now and get somebody to stand next to Taylor Harewood-Bellis. Sorry, not Charlie Taylor, Taylor Harewood-Bellis. And just be that rock, whereas he's good. Don't get me wrong, he is good, but he's still a little bit sort of like rough around the edges, isn't it? But I think if we have Taylor Harewood-Bellis and another centre back, and then maybe Charlie Taylor at left back or whatever, and push Maatsen a little bit further forward, and obviously Connor Roberts right back, that'll be a very, very good defence.
I always think that with centre backs and defensive midfielders, if no one notices you in a game, you've done a good job. And no one has said anything about, like, other than the comment there about him being good. No one said he's made a howler, and that to me says that he's doing a fantastic job, and he is for a young lad. The Kouyaté bid is I think it'd be a bit harsh on Taylor, not Taylor Howard, but Charlie, because there's too many Taylors. If you bring him in, if you bring in another centre back, I wouldn't drop Maatsen for Charlie Taylor, because Maatsen brings this kind of like this unpredictability where he's a left back, but he isn't. He's making his way into the box, and I think that's how Kompany wants to play his wing backs is bring them into the box and stuff. I see that there. We lose the attacking threat of Taylor, but isn't Maatsen doing that a little bit better as well? He's getting into the box. He's scored. He's always looking threatening when he's going forward. You don't know where he's going to pop up. I think it'd be very harsh. And
as Laura says, he's very good as Maatsen. He obviously man of the match. Well, no, Cullen got man of the match, didn't he, against Huddersfield? But he got man of the match today from the sponsors. I know that much. But Kompany said when Cullen got the man of the match last week, it should have been Maatsen. So Maatsen's done very well. So would you, if we did bring in Kouyaté, would you be dropping Charlie and then keeping Maatsen and Roberts at the fullbacks, and then obviously putting in Kouyaté next to Harewood-Bellis?
It's tough. Because I love Taylor. I love Charlie. He's been fantastic for us. He's been a fantastic servant. I just don't think I think in his mind he's still a left back. Now we say that, and look at Ben Mee. Yeah. Ben Mee was a left back when he came into the club. Played left back for a while. It took him a while to get over to the centre back role, but he then took on the centre back role, and I'd say he's one of the best centre backs that's played for us in my memory, anyway. So I think, like anything with this system, like anything with this team, it might just need more time, more patience. Like, say, today there wasn't much wrong with what we did, other than a little bit of confusion, and I think that's a set piece issue as opposed to an open play issue. In open play, I don't think there's any issues. I think we need to work on our recovery after set pieces, getting out of the box, and then we can then recover, a lot quicker. Because if you remember under Dyche, we'd play the set piece and then we'd be out the box straight away. I've still got echoes in my head of Tom Heaton's out every time that we do that, and we might just need that from Juric, a bit more communication to get people out of the box, Which, by the way, Juric as well, I know that he's been getting bashed a lot and stuff. I think he's doing fantastic. Got a bit lucky today on one of the tackles there, where I think Adebayor was through and he kind of like did the whole jump thing and it came off him. But other than that, I think Juric is doing brilliant. The goal he couldn't do much about, I don't think.
Yeah, it was unorthodox in doing that, but it saved us at the end of the day. It weren't his fault that the lad got in behind the defence so easily, and he's rushed out, unorthodox, admittedly, but he's done quite well. Last one from me for you then, Jamie. We've spoken there a little bit about sort of like maybe putting Taylor out wide and pushing Markson on. I'm just quickly scrolling up to try and find a comment that I saw from Quilter. And he says, have you spoken much about Benson yet, George? I just want to ask you, because I've spoken about him on Twitter. I've asked people what people's thoughts were. We'll bring that in after I ask you this question, Jamie, before I bring Sean in. What did you think of Benson, who came obviously in the second, came on at half time for his debut today?
Benson, he changed the game. He was eager to take players on. He had the hunger to bring the ball forward and get it into the box. He was a lot more direct than any of our players were today. I think I saw a stat that of 70% possession in the first half, 74% was in the final third, and yet we didn't register a shot on target. He comes on in that at half time, which again is a masterstroke from Kompany. Bringing him on at half time, they knew something was wrong, and he changed the dynamic of how we approach the final third. So I think he's going to be a great signing. I just hope that he doesn't do either go injured like Cornet would, or become a bit of a McNeil where he just goes a bit flat. So, but other than that, it looks brilliant. Brings ball forward and is happy to get it into the box. A few more goals.
He's happy to try and take a man on as well. He's happy to be on the front foot, running with the ball. He's just. He would get him. At one point, just down the side of the left, in front of the Bob Lord, he took the man on, did the hard work, and then instead of just then running with the ball, he tried to put a ball in. It ended up being a shit ball, and the player break down. His class. I think he just needs to play with us for a little bit more, and then it'll probably come a little bit more for him as well.
Yeah, it's those little things around the edges which Vincent will work on with him. I think the one thing we are missing with him, and it's been said umpteen times on Twitter today and everything like that, we need a striker who's going to sit in the 6-yard box 100%. And wait for that ball. A Vidra. We need a Vidra.
Yeah, we do. We need a Vidra, but unfortunately he's gone. Twine could fit into that. Jay could fit into that. I love Barnes, but I don't think it's going to work with just Barnes up front anymore. He just spend a lot of the time on the floor. But Jamie, thank you for coming on. First time on Turfcast. How'd you find it? All right?
Yeah. I'd be happy to come back anytime. Enjoyed it.
We'll be happy to have you back, mate. But thanks for that. Just read some more comments out about what's he called? Benson. There's not much coming actually, so we won't. But I'll tell you what I will do. I will read out some of the comments on Twitter that I received, like I said I would do, because I asked a question on Twitter about Manuel Benson. It's loading on your screen there. I said, thoughts on Manuel Benson today? Question about hashtag Twitter Clarets. And by the way, if you're not following us on Twitter, please do. Noah said, best player in the world. Completely agree. Stephanie says, was impressed to say he's only been with us a couple of days. I think he will do well. Completely agree. And this is the comment I was referring to earlier. Stan Hill Claret said, is it too early to suggest we've upgraded from McNeil? I think it is, but I do like that comment though, so you can have a like it. Johnny Tate, who's too busy in the box for Turfcast these days, says things can only get better. Liam, thank you for the video and the pictures, Johnny. I really do appreciate it. Liam Preston says he's very good. I'd start him and Vitinho versus Watford. I'd definitely start Benson. I think Vitinho's more of an impact player, if I'm being honest. Chris Horner says, look lively. We'll be getting plenty of crosses into the box for a hopefully new striker to get on the end of. Andy says, very good, gives us space, creativity, which we've been craving for. Thought Vitinho looked great when he came on too. The Burnley way, very, I think you can all work out what he means by that. Charlie says, special player. John Fitzpatrick, he's the one I saw in the pub today, I think. Hi, John. Thanks for coming over and saying hello. Look lively for sure. Matt Norris says, quality. You get the drift. So a lot of people are pretty impressed with him. But we have got one more guest waiting. So I will bring Sean in now. If you watched it last week, if you will remember Sean. Sean, hopefully your microphone's still okay. It's not. I can't hear you. What's happened to your microphone? Right, 2 minutes. I'll read out more comments while Sean message about with his microphone. Because we had this before. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I'm not bushy dick. Way. That's for Phoenix Knights fans. If you don't watch Phoenix Knights, you won't get it. Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. You, Joe?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. So, your thoughts and opinions on that football game?
Ooh, well, I think in terms of result, you have to be pleased.
Yeah.
I think if you go back to before the season started and you say Huddersfield, Luton, 4 points, I think you take it.
Yeah, I'd have took that 100%. I remember saying I just didn't want to, because I was worried that we'd go into the Blackpool game, which is obviously after the Watford game, I think. Yeah. I remember thinking we could very possibly go into this game having lost all 3 games. And then there'll be panic stations. Everyone's pressure will be on Vincent. But obviously, we've won the first game. We've got a point against a very good and very physical and a well, it's oiled championship side. And yeah, if we get beat against Watford, so be it. They're a very good side. They've got 3 very good forwards. It won't be the end of the world. But then we go and dick Blackpool, which I think we will, and everything will be all right. So we'd have definitely took that 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think Luton are going to be up there come the end of the season, and I think they're one of the biggest teams we'll play against, which was our undoing today. They were bigger than us.
Yeah.
They barely did.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? But it's one that we've spoken to Neil and Jamie, obviously, about potential of bringing people in. Obviously, strikers seems to be the one that everyone's talking about. Even everyone in the comments now. Do you agree? Do we need an out-and-out striker, a poacher?
On one hand, yes, I think we'd benefit from that. And I think with Vidra going, as sad as I am to see him go, I think with that decision having been made now and we know he's left, I think we can now look at bringing someone in. And the fact we were linked with Maleka, or however you say his name, a few weeks ago, shows that it's something the club are looking at. So I think getting that decision on Vidra will accelerate that. On the other hand, I don't know how much it would have changed, especially first half.
Yeah.
But then again, Barnsley, as much as I love him, probably could have had 2 today.
Yeah, it's one of them. Like, I do agree with that. Like, we didn't have any chances to miss in the first half, but I feel like we would have played differently. There were a lot of dicking about with it, and I get that we're going to have to get used to that. A lot of dicking about with it on the edge of the box, and a lot of passing it backward and forward, waiting for something to open up. A striker would have made a run to try and make something open up, whereas nobody was making them runs. That's why we're dicking about with it. But do you think then a centre back's probably more important, or maybe another winger?
I don't know if I'd say more important. I'd say probably equal importance.
Yeah.
And I think with Charlie Taylor, I think it's going to take him a little while to learn the position, because it does. When you move from having the touchline helping you to being in the middle of the pitch, it's a big change. And then I think when you play in teams like Huddersfield or those teams that are going to be lower down the league, and we're going to have a lot, I mean, we had a lot of the ball today, but when you're going to have a lot of the ball and defending isn't necessarily the most important thing, because he's so good on the ball, I think he works as a centre-back, which is why he works well against Huddersfield. Whereas today you've got Adebayo up front, who's massive, and we're being pressed hard, and it's more physical. And that's where I think you need that more experienced centre-back.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But I do think we'll have a lot of games, as you've said, where we don't have to do too much defending, like we didn't against Huddersfield. So there's going to be games where it would be an option to keep him there. Matt Lawcock, just on the striker debate, he says, I wouldn't say poacher, just someone good on the ball. Jack G7 says, I think we need a tall, pacey striker that will play in the line and give us an option to go long when we need it. Today felt like it was all good until the final third when we just went backwards. I agree with that, yeah, especially in the first half. Majority of the first half, it was frustrating, just sticking about with it, and not even, to be fair, in the second half. I want to talk about the goal, though, because it was quite similar to last week's goal, weren't it? Edge of the box sort of thing, bent in. Another kind of well-worked goal, which frustrated me, because when they played it like that and played football, they scored the goal. When they did it against Huddersfield, they scored the goal and had the chances like they did with the Connor Roberts thing from Cullen. But a lot of the time today was spent putting it in the box. Was against the Luton side, who's taller than us, more physical than us. Obviously, that's where we've come unstuck, weren't it?
Yeah, though I think Costello put some good crosses in. It tended to be him putting the crosses in. There were a couple that were really dangerous that went kind of back stick and no one got on them. and a few that got blocked by the first man, but they looked dangerous. And but I think those crosses going in were because he's young and inexperienced, whereas the older players were recycling it, trying to move it across.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot that it was Bastian that went off at half-time rather than Costello.
I thought it was poor, though. I did think Bastian was poor. He was good against Huddersfield. I thought he was a bit poor today. And obviously, we're changing the system as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think he was as good as he was last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was because of what Luton were doing, because they seem to be closing the passing lanes and getting tight quickly, especially compared to Huddersfield.
Yeah. Thanks for the comments there, West Ham fan in the chat. Obviously, good luck to Kompany at West Ham. But Matt Lawcock says, as shit as it sounds, Weghorst would suit this system. Would you agree with that, Sean?
It has crossed my mind.
I think Vidra would suit it more.
Yeah.
But I do think Weghorst... Chris Wood as well. Like, you just need a finisher. Just a finisher.
Yeah.
Which we don't have at the minute.
If you go back a few years, I think Sam Vokes would have been brilliant in this.
Yeah, Sam Vokes would have been. The pre-Stoke Sam Vokes, the Burnley Sam Vokes would have been brilliant.
Not so much now, but the Ving folks would have been fantastic.
You've mentioned Costello there. You said you thought he played well, but he inexperience showed as well. It's one of them though, innit? Like the more he plays, the better he's going to get. I've actually quite liked him, but I agree with everything you say. There were so many times where he just made the wrong choice, but he was eager, he was confident on the ball, he was running, and that's just something we haven't seen players do for so long. So it's good to see a youngster come in and do that as well.
Absolutely, he just looks to get at his man. Not necessarily beat them, but get them going backwards and try and get the ball into the danger area.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see. And then with Benson, he was unpredictable, wasn't he? But I think he's going to fill a little corner-shaped hole in my heart.
Yeah. I think so. I think he's going to be one of them. Just quickly, this comment here. I'm going to look at the fixtures that are coming up just before we do go. So I'll just read a couple more comments out. Jack G7 says, another thing that is catching us out is our players going down softly for a small nudge in the back and then getting caught out when it's not given. Now, I know Jamie was texting me saying he was frustrated with the refs. I forgot to ask Jamie that question, but he's gone now. What did you think of the referee? It's one of them. There's no clear cut like, oh my God, I can't believe he got that wrong. What an idiot. But there was a lot of stuff where it just sort of like, what is this? The linesman was frustrating me the most. The linesman down the Bob Lord side, he was the one that frustrated me the most. But the officials, what are you making the officials so far in the Championship?
I mean, you can tell that we're down a division compared to last year.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is, the Premier League players are used to getting those decisions. I think part of it is continental players that are used to getting those decisions. And I watched the Norwich game that was the early kickoff. And again, they were going down very easily compared to Wigan and spent a lot of time on the floor. And I don't know if it's just a Premier League thing, or if it's just if I go down, we'll get the free kick and stop their attack thing.
Yeah, and as Bob says, Barnes needs to understand this. It's Barnes that is the main culprit for that. But you think that the more we're in the Championship, hopefully it's not that long, but the more games are played this season is what I'm trying to say. We will get used to it. Last question that I'm going to read out. We'll mention Quilter's comment because I'm going to read Quilter's question out. He says the ref was so bad, some head of hair on him though. And what is that? A referee with an Alice band. What is this about celebrity refs? Mike Dean was on Soccer AM this morning.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It's not right.
No,
the only thing Mike Dean should be doing is the Peter Crouch podcast occasionally and slaughtering chickens, and that's about it.
Yeah. Reece Dean, is that the same Reece Dean that went to college with? He says, up the Clarets, Joe, up the Clarets, Reece. Notorious BJB says the officials are better in this league. No celebrity refs. That's literally what we spoke about, to be fair. With big egos and more importantly, no dodgy VAR to contend with. Matt Lawcock says referees allow more contact, and rightly so. Play to the whistle. One comment I do want to read out. It's a bit off topic sort of thing, as Quilter says, a random one. But is it me who'd like a signing from the US? I personally don't care where the signings come from. But if we're going to bring someone in from the US, then fine. What about you, Sean?
It's not something I'm actively hoping for. But when the owners came in with their links to the MSL, I thought it might happen. And then in terms of expanding the branding, I guess it would make sense to try and get into the American market. I think there might be an increase in interest from the States because of the owners. But now we've dropped down a division, maybe it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, fair enough. Matt Lawcock's had a beer because he says, yeah, just you, like the Scottish League. Shit. I have just seen a comment in the private chat from Jamie. So, Jamie, if you're listening, I'll wait till he turns around. He's turned around. I'm going to bring you back in, Jamie. So, I'm going to bring you back in. There we go. There he is. He says the coach decision at the end of the game, clear sending off. I presume you're on about when Roberts tried to take the throw in and their gaffer, weren't it? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, like an idiot. Nathan Jones. Yeah. He just stood in the way, didn't he? And didn't let Roberts take the throw in.
What flabbergasted me more was that he was outside of his technical area, and he interfered with a player outside of his technical area. I mean, it's one thing to interfere with a player when you're inside your technical area, but when you're outside and you've interfered, it's a clear sending off by the rule of the book. It's just, and then the referee proceeded to go and give Connor Roberts a yellow card, and I'm like, really? Like all the yellow cards that you didn't give, for time wasting and stuff like that for them, and you can't give Roberts the yellow card even though that their coach had been sent off. I was just like, what? Their referee box in the stands must smell like weed because they were smoking something right.
Just to play devil's advocate though. Yeah, sorry, Sean, but just to play devil's advocate though. I've not seen it since. I only saw it at the time. You boys must have seen replays and stuff. I only saw it at the time. Just to play devil's advocate, did he not just stand his ground? Like I didn't notice he was out of the technical area. If he was, then fair enough. But did he not just stand his ground? Connor Roberts could have easily just gone round him. There's 30 seconds left, Connor. Get that big throw down the line and get a kick off. Connor Roberts went looking for it as well.
But I think the difference between it is, and he's outside of his technical area, and he's interfered with play. So to me, that's a sending off. If he's inside, then but if he's inside, he should be a bit back from the pitch, and he shouldn't be on the touchline. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Connor Roberts then runs across the front of him and makes a throw, but he's outside of it and he's interfered with play.
Yeah, fair enough. Sean, you wanted to speak. Sorry, Jamie, I thought you finished. Sean, you wanted to speak before I said that. Well, what were your thoughts?
I was going to say, it didn't look deliberate to me from either party. It's just one of those things that happens. But I just hope we appeal the yellow card because, as I say, I don't think it's deliberate from either party. I just don't think it needed to be a yellow.
You can't appeal. Is that a new rule where you can appeal yellows?
I don't know. Maybe you can't.
No,
but
I didn't think you could.
If that stacks up and he gets a suspension for 5 yellows, and one of them's because he's run into the back of a manager who's taken a step backwards into the path of his run-up.
Yeah. See, I think... Sorry, I don't think the yellow was because of... I think the yellow might have been the reaction. And his reaction to the coach. So it was either... It wasn't dissent, but it was like... you can get yellowed for like aggressive... I don't know what the ruling of it is, but, I think it was the way he reacted to it. But I still think if you look at the letter of the law, the coach gets the red card before the yellow card is given.
Yeah, fair enough. Man of the match then, boys, quickly. I would have asked Neil, but he had to shoot off for a curry. Who's your man of the match? Jamie, I'll start with you.
Give it Brownhill for the goal. Quality goal.
Yeah, fair enough. Sean?
Brownhill or Benson. I don't like giving it subs usually, but he played 45 minutes and he was quality.
Yeah. Get your comments in as well. I'll be happy to read some comments out as well for man of the matches. I'll just give it Marks, and I thought you were everywhere. I thought you were class, and just to give it somebody different as well. Bob Devine says Brownhill, man of the match. Fair enough, can agree with that. He played very well. I thought Cullen played well as well again today, but he did get the ball away a little bit more than he did against Huddersfield. He wasn't as good as he was against Huddersfield, but I do think he played very well. I just give it Martin. I'll tell you what I do want to do as well, just quickly. This will be the last thing we do before, if we get any more comments in, I might potentially read one more out. But I do want to quickly look at our fixtures because I was wrong when I said Notorious BJB says Brownhill, Simon Edson said Martin. I was wrong when I said Blackpool is the next game after Watford because it goes Watford, then Hull on a Tuesday night, then Blackpool, then Wigan away, then Millwall at home, then West Brom away. I think we'll get beat against Watford. personally, just because of the inexperience in the back, and just get rid of that comment. The inexperience in the back line, and the fact that they've got 3 very good forwards. I think we'll beat Hull at home. I think we'll beat Blackpool at home. I think we'll beat Wigan away. Millwall will be a tough one, but I think we should probably. Let's be honest. We're in the Championship now. We should be beating any team at home. Really, you've got to look at your own games and say, yeah, we should be beating them, and then maybe get beat at West Brom or a draw. What are you boys thinking? I'll just go in order on the screen. So, Sean, what are you thinking for next fixtures?
I think Watford's a tough one. I'm an optimist, so I'm going to say a draw, but I think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
Hull, I think we win. Blackpool, I'm travelling north and I'm coming on that one. So if we lose, that's my fault. Wigan, they played well against Norwich today, but
they did.
I think we beat them. Millwall, they've lost that lad who's gone to West Brom, Wallace, so I think we beat him. West Brom's a tough one, but Steve Bruce is a donkey, so...
famous last words. Jamie, your thoughts on the next six games?
Yeah, I think we lose against Watford. I think we'll probably win the rest of the games, to be honest, apart from West Brom. And I'm putting money on Jed Wallace to score it, just because we used to have an obsession with him. So that's me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'll wrap it up here then, boys. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. Sean, last week, you just I ended the show, and normally we end the show on a chat for 5 minutes, just say thanks and that. I'm like, oh, cheers for coming on, mate. I looked and he'd gone. And then I couldn't find him. I looked for him on Twitter. I don't even know his Twitter handle. I was like, get Sean back on. I'm like, I will do. I'm thinking, I don't know where he is. I'm not going to get him back on. But I've got anyway, so if you want to go, you can go. But I do have a pizza downstairs waiting for me. Well, it's a burger, actually. But thank you, everybody, for coming on. Just quickly read some comments out. Notorious says 11 points out of that 6, 3 wins, 2 draws, lost at Watford. Yep, pretty much. I'd agree with that. Thereabouts. So I'd have 1 defeat, 4 wins, 1 draw. So it's thereabouts. Matt Lowcock says defeat, win, draw. With no way we draw against bloody Blackpool. The shite. Win, loss. How can you get a pizza and a burger mixed up, Joe? Like I said, you can tell Matt's had a beer. Because I ordered 2 pizzas and a burger. Not all for me, obviously. 2 for the... 1 for the missus, 1 for the little boy, and a burger for me. But lads, I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you for coming on. Jamie, it's been a pleasure. Sean, it's been a pleasure. Neil, if you listen to this later on, again, it's been a pleasure. Sorry that I had issues earlier on as well, for those of you that it affected, Neil mainly. But it's been a pleasure. And if you're just watching this now and you want to get back and watch like the rest of it that you've missed, and then you can do, just it stays on YouTube. So if you're watching this live now, is what I'm trying to say. When you think, oh, I've only just joined this live, I would have liked to know what they talked about. As soon as this live ends, you can watch it from the beginning. It stays on YouTube. And again, if you'd rather listen to it on a drive to work tomorrow or Monday, I'll be putting it out as an audio-only podcast. So thank you for watching, and I will do a pre-game show before the game against. What a horrible phrase that is. There we go. Jesus Christ. I will do a pre-game show before the Watford game with everybody's favourite guests, the Watford fans from Do Not Scratch Your Eyes. I've already spoke to them. They're on again this week, so it'd be good to get them boys back. That'll probably be out about Wednesday. So fingers crossed for that, and I'll see you all there. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.